Good afternoon, everyone. It's 3 p.m., and we are delighted to have you join us as we kick off another insightful session on connecting the dots. First and foremost, we extend our gratitude to our esteemed speakers for their participation in this panel discussion. Ms. Shivani Malhotra, partner and MD at Positive Vibes Consulting Private Limited. Mr. Sandeep Kumar, Head HR Operations India at Sodexo India Service Private Limited. Ms. Namita Pandey, CHRO at Srijan, and Mr. Rajat Dubey, co-founder and director at Big India Social Media Recruitment Private Limited. A very warm welcome to all. HREI welcomes you all to the session on this insightful topic, hiring without degrees, reimagining talent acquisition in the skills first era. To know more about HRA and its events, I would request all our participants to visit the link and details posted in the chat window. I am pleased to introduce our moderator for today's session, Rajat Dubey, who will be guiding us through the discussion with his insights and expertise. Rajat Dubey is the director and co-founder of Big Ideas Social Media Recruitment Private Limited, India's first recruitment firm built entirely around the power of social media. He also heads Big IT Jobs, a specialized recruitment platform focused on IT and technology talent. With years of experience in recruitment strategy, talent engagement, and employer branding, he brings a strong perspective on how work culture is evolving in today's digital first environment. Rajat is passionate about connecting companies with top talent and creating conversations that matter in the world of work. To know more about Rajat, you can follow him on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. We are excited to have him moderate this discussion today. Over to you, Mr. Rajat.
Thank you so much for a kind introduction, Faisal. Okay, so hello everyone. It's been a pleasure for me to be here today and to moderate this important discussion. Okay, so the topic we are diving into that is hiring without degrees, reimagining talent equation in the skill first era. Okay, so I believe it's not just timely but also transformationally in the way we think about talent, opportunity, and inclusion. And we have been an incredible panel with us today, and I'm looking forward to an honest, forward-thinking conversation on how organizations are rethinking their hiring models, shifting from credentials to capabilities, and what it really takes to make the transition work. So, firstly, let me introduce Namita Pandey. Currently, she is a Chief Human Resource Officer at Surgeon. She exemplifies the transformative leadership with a deep-rooted commitment to organizational growth, community development, and social impact as well. Her career reflects a strong focus on inclusive HR practices, gender equity, and education industry collaboration. She is also known for her forward-thinking approach. Namita blends innovation, continuous learning, and purpose-driven strategies to drive both people and organization success. A big welcome, Namita. Secondly, next we will be having Sandeep Kumar. Currently, he is heading HR Operation India at Sodexo India Services Private Limited. Okay, and Sandeep brings rich experience managing HR operation for large and diverse workforces. At Sodexo India, global leader in quality of life, he leads operational HR strategies that prioritize compliance, workforce optimizations, and employee well-being. He strongly believes in leveraging technology and skill development to empower employee across all levels. A big welcome, Sandeep.
Thank you. Thank you,
And
Rajat.
finally, we have Shivani Malhotra, an award-winning HR and learning specialist with over 20 years of experience across organizations like DCM, Sriram, Yum Brands, KPMG, etc. And MBA from SCM, HRD Pune, and a Business World 40 Under 40 awardee. She is a founder of Positive Vibes Consulting, specializing in HR strategy, leadership development, and organization design. Shivani is also a mentor of change with Niti Aayog and is widely recognized as a trusted leadership coach and a people strategy expert. A big welcome, Shivani.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajat.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining us today with this powerhouse panel. I'm truly looking forward to unpacking what skill first hiring really means and how it can be implemented and what the future holds. So firstly, I would like to start with Namita. Okay, so Namita, at Sirjan, where you hire highly specialized tech talent, okay, and how do you view the relevance of formal degrees versus demonstrable skills?
Yeah, hi, Rajat. Thank you for the question. So, in Srijan, it's basically a non-profit organization where we dwell into a lot of technical aspects also. So we had a lot of engineers from various backgrounds. Yes, I understand initially or as part of qualifying criteria, we have degree as one thing where we see that this person um, should have basic skills that we understand that degrees when while someone attends degree, this is what they have with them. And thereafter, I believe it's more about the organization, how we skill that person to perform the role. But now gradually we have seen that shift because ultimately organization is skilling them to perform certain roles. So it's obviously is wonderful if we get somebody who is skilled, or if we're able to get people from market who are skilled on that particular domain. So as an organization, Srijan, I think we are focusing on a mixed kind of approach where the due value to the degree as well as the skills that we need. So we are ensuring that the hiring is done accordingly. It's not just solely based on the degrees where we say we don't understand what kind of skills do they bring, but the kind of recruitment processes we do or the kind of tests we do, we also ensure that we are able to get those skills also required to perform the job. So right now we are in that balanced kind of approach. But yes, seeing the shift, I think eventually we are also moving more towards the skill kind of hiring now.
Great. Lovely insight. So over to you, Sandeep. Sodexo has a massive, diverse workforce. Okay, including many frontline roles you'll be having. Okay, so how do you think about skill first hiring in context where formal education may be, less accessible?
Yeah, so thanks, Rajat. In fact, it's a very pertinent question for a company like Sodexo. Worldwide, from the very beginning, it's not the matter of today. Around 60 years back when we started, that time onward, what we have looked for is the skill to perform a particular duty or a particular task rather than the qualification. And that has created a very diverse workforce coming from all backgrounds. So historically also, if you look at our company, we would have hired people from very different backgrounds. They had no understanding of the industry which they are getting into. And why they were hired? Because the founding members would have thought that I need this particular task to be done. And for that, I need this kind of skill, right? And that's how the company from the very beginning has promoted skill first. In fact, in most of our job ads, you would not find qualification as one of the specifications. So rarely we put a job ad where it's written that you need to be a BA, BCom or qualified. There are some specific roles like accounting, you may have a requirement of a chartered accountant, but majority of our roles, we don't specify what is the qualification required. We specify how many years of experience in what field is required. And so when you come to the frontliner, in fact, there is no education for the roles which we are asking people to perform. There is no formal education for being an F&B associate or a housekeeping associate or anything like that. So all we rely on is either the person comes very raw or the person comes with some amount of understanding, and we majorly skill them for the job which is required them to perform. So for us, it's skill first only, and education qualification has rarely mattered to us, but for a few roles. So it's a way of life in Sodexo across the world.
Great, great, lovely, lovely perspective. So now, Shivani, okay, you are from the consulting domain, okay, so working with a number of companies with multiple segment, okay. So from your experience, being as a consultant with many organizations, okay, what mindset do you think that need to be changed for skill first hiring that really took a root?
Great question, Rajat. I think from a consulting background, since we work with different industries, so I can surely speak something that prevails across industries. For skills first hiring to truly take root, there are several entrenched mindsets that need to shift both at the organizational and the individual levels. So the first shift that we need to do is from credentials to capabilities. From the old mindset which says that what degree or what pedigree do they have, to the new mindset that can they actually do the job and how well they can do it. So instead of focusing on college names, past titles, or years of experience, we start trusting demonstrated skills in the form of skill-based assessments, in the form of case studies, real-world problem solving. And this is a shift that I'm noticing, and we recommend this to our clients, that no matter what pedigree the candidate is coming from, do design a thorough skills assessment, sort of a docket, which would be a combination of case studies, presentation, simulation, whatever, where you're actually able to judge the skills of the person for the role that you are hiring for. And we've been, Rajat, we've been in for surprises there. We've seen people with pedigreed colleges have struggled to actually clear these skill-based assessments, and people with very average or below average colleges have cracked it. So at the end of the day, what matters is the quality of the experience or the quality of the work that they have done, and not really the college that they have passed out from. So that is the first mindset shift. The second one is the shift from job to journeys. So where we say that we need someone who's done this exact role before. So we'll hire somebody who has the exact experience of doing this role before. Well, I'm sure a lot of HR colleagues here would agree that not everyone is able to excel in the exactly same role that they did in one organization into another. And there could be multiple reasons for it. It could be a culture issue. It could be a lack of resources. It could be lack of understanding of expectations. So we've done these mistakes in the past where we've hired people who did exactly the same role, trusting that they'll be able to do this. It's the same work. Yahi to kaam yahan pe bhi karna hai. But a lot of times it doesn't work out. So I think the new mindset that we need to really move on to is that we are hiring for potential, for adaptability, and for the learning agility. How quickly can they learn and fit into our culture and start delivering? So I think that is one. And since I spoke about culture, the last one is from culture fit to culture add. So instead of saying, will they fit into our existing way of doing things, we should rather say, how will their unique skills and experiences enrich our team? So skills first hiring often brings in diverse thinkers. This has been my personal experience. People who challenge norms because they've done it, and they know, and they have the potential to see what worked in one organization may not work in your organization. So they would have the courage to also call it out. And one thing I think, again, a lot of HR colleagues, especially who are into recruitment, would agree that the shift that we really need to make is from a gut feel to an evidence-based hiring. So we say we want to be data-driven, but many hiring decisions still are based on our instinct or our intuition. So that's one shift that we need to make, which requires some amount of work on developing the right kind of instruments or assessments. But once you have them, there are very feeble chances of wrong hires. And interestingly, I was reading on LinkedIn that there was a research which said that about 75% of recruiters, they see skill-based hiring as the future, but only 25% of them have actually adopted it. So the gap, is not the technology. It's the trust, it's the comfort, and it's the mindset. So once leaders shift from what B school did you attend to what you can actually do, I think the doors open for a much more diverse, skilled workforce.
Okay. I mean, good connect. So, if I'm, raising the same question with Namita to you, okay, like being as a, HR leader, okay, what practical steps can HR take, okay, to manage or to make the hiring process that's truly skill based, okay, while ensuring, quality and consistency should be there.
Yeah, so I think it can be through various steps. Like first is for each job role, when you are planning to, you are having a vacancy, I think it's essential to map the required skill for the job role, and both hard and soft skills. Sometimes I believe as recruiter, when we are not very, very clear what kind of skills do we need for this particular profile. So very clearly articulating that. Second, then whenever we are posting an advertisement, see, I understand that it's easy to say we can post an advertisement saying that we don't need degrees, but it's not that easy because I know as a recruiter, it's very tough. If I post an advertisement and just say only these skills are required, I know right now, even for the mentioned degree also, for one vacancy, I get thousands of applications, but then for one vacancy, I get almost 20, 30,000 of applications because people won't be very clear. People assume that we have those skills, but sometimes it's not easy. So I would say in that case, at least we can open the advertisement with a pool of degree requirements. It's not just one degree. For example, you need someone with BTech, you can open it for BCA and others. So a couple of more degrees you allow the universe so that more people can apply who have a relevant or same kind of degrees. You can't just completely negate that while you are advertising through positions. But yes, and third is I think the recruitment processes. I completely agree with Shivani what she said. So the processes, if we can do the skill assessment through quizzes, through various psychometric, sociometric assessments, or peer validation, because sometimes assessing someone their skills is very difficult. You can check the knowledge through written test or other places, but also trying to understand what practical skills they have gained. So these kind of processes can be defined through HR. So while you are recruiting them or you're conducting process, that can be done. And then when you've hired this person with a certain definite skill that you think is required for that role, so I think during onboarding also a clear growth path of that person can be ensured, which can then remain consistent in the organization. So to ensure that right now this person has come with the skills, and what would be the growth path, how would the skills be enhanced going forward, so that this person remains consistent in the organization. Plus we can also ensure further quality in organization's growth also.
Totally agree. So, Sandeep ji, like if I wish to know, like in terms of operational level, okay, what sort of operational challenges, being as an HR, you can feel like, while implementing those skill-based hiring, okay, if you wanted to scale at a level, okay, and specifically, specifically when we say about your company or maybe any other service-based industry.
See, there are good points about it. There are challenges as well. Like I'll give you an example. Suppose we are hiring for culinary skills. So there is a need for trade test. People have to come prepare some food. People will come taste it, have a look at it, look, feel, smell, and all. And then the chef will be selected, right? So it's a very, I mean, technically it's a very niche skill, and you cannot just show your certificate to get selected. Even if you have passed out from the best of the college, unless you have passed through the trade test, you cannot be selected. So there are some roles where it is very much required. Uh, and talking, I mean, what Namita was talking about, I mean, on a lighter note, if Bill Gates would have applied to her company, he would have got rejected because he's school dropout. There is no qualification. He would have got rejected. So, and I can understand her challenge in terms of if she opens it for all and that happens in most of the service industries. Uh, there is, there are two categories. There are people who are qualified, means educated people like IHM graduates and all. And then there are people who are doing multiple skill-based training programs. These are short-term programs, and these are short-term to mid-term programs. And now the government is also doing a lot of skill-based training. Across the country, you have National Skill Development Council, which is skilling people. They are not training people. They are not, their aim is not to certify people. Their aim is to skill people so that they become industry relevant. They become uh, suited to the jobs which are required by the industry. So those are the challenges where we are in a very, I will not say nascent stage, but we are gradually moving from a nascent stage to somewhere where we are about to mature. So the qualification packs are very well defined. How much gets translated to the people who are getting skilled on that and how much they are able to deliver are question marks. So suppose you get a skilled person. So Government of India, Pradhan Mantri Kausal Vikas Yojana has run a program for 3 months and you certify him that he is skilled to perform a job. Possibly he is not, because on the job he has only spent 15 days, or It is on the job is in a lab situation or a simulated environment. So actual on the job he or she has not done. So that the amount of skill which he or she needs to acquire is not been acquired. But things are there moving in the positive direction. I am sure with time, what would happen in the skilling system only without education. People will get trained for the job for which that skill is required, and they will be enabled with lots of technical advancement for learning. I'll give you a very simple example. Uh, you want to do a particular job and you want to understand the process. So what we have done in a hospital where we provide service, we have put QR codes for each training module. So our training L&D QR code link is there. Moment you scan the QR code, you go to the page you want to run a training program, run it on the spot, brief it through a video to 5 people, and then they can start doing the work. So this is a very simple application of technology for reaching out to the last mile to understand how a particular thing is to be done, what is the process to be followed. There are advanced versions of this also which can be applied. And I think in the days to come, you don't need to do a PhD to apply for a peon's job, is what is going to happen. Degrees will be there specifically where degrees are required. Otherwise, people will be majorly focusing on skill, particularly in our industry, and they may not require any particular degree. Certificates, possibly because you have completed a skill program, and then upskilling further, you may require a further certificate. As far as assessing them is concerned, there are handicaps. Like I'll give you an example. I was looking for some MCQ tests which can be administered for any skill-based job. And I'll give you a very simple example. I met a vendor who had created for, I think, Walmart or somebody. So suppose you have to apply for a butcher in a Walmart shop. So all you need to do is first you go to a website, click on a link, you will get an assessment test. You pass through that assessment test, which is very practical for a butcher also. It's not asking about the technical questions or theory questions, asking about suppose how a cut will be made, and 4 options are there for a particular dish. And once you pass through, then you come for the actual training, actual test, physical test. So I think those are the areas where we are looking for partners who can create the ecosystem so that skill assessment can happen and then the selection becomes easy. Internally also, if you want to promote somebody, move into another role, again, a set of skill assessment tools, if they are available, then it would be easy. So those are the challenges which we need to look at as an opportunity. I hope I
I
am
want,
able to answer
yeah,
the question.
sorry, Rajat, I want to just come in because very interesting point Sandeep has said. I think when you said, so I just want to bring the context is like in our organization also, we have two kinds of people. One who
Yes.
are working at field, so there are around 400s of them, 400 to 500. So for them, yes, there's no qualification criteria. They are 10th, 12th, or can be graduates also. It's primarily skill is what is needed, or they are being trained. They're the hardcore implementers. Then there is another category of professionals, so-called, we say, which is around 250 to 300 in number. For them, this degree wala hiring is set. So I understand what you're saying from the industry perspective, but I don't know. So where those skilled people are there without degrees, the hardcore implementers, I would say, in any organization, they are the ones who are actually implementing. So I sometimes feel the growth path gets limited to certain extent. So I don't know. I understand the perspective and right now what we're saying about skills thing. But for professionals, when we were seeing from the perspective, yes, that because we think they're different from them because they bring in certain basic level of different professional aspects, or their way of managing things are expected to be different. So how do we then demarcate this kind of difference between two categories of people based on roles and functions? That's what I try to picture, and that's what I was trying to say.
No, no,
Would be
I'm
interested to hear
see
your views.
totally understand your context. And let me tell you, before Sodexo, I was with HCL for 12 years. So I can tell you what we used to hire a BTech for a
Yeah.
particular job at one point of time. It became so democratized that we lowered it down from BTech to diploma engineers and later on to anybody who is done from anywhere. So like if you are talking about break fix maintenance of PC server and all. So what a BTech used to do, diploma engineers started doing, and later on it became like any course of hardware or networking technology, people can do that because it got democratized, technology became easy, it became mass. So that's how it happens. And at what maturity level your company is, what kind of technology you're working in, it also depends on that. Like so, if you are working in very high end technology, so you cannot think of anyone in today's world who can tell you that okay, these high end technology people are easily available in the market without any qualification, because all those high end technologies require a lot of educational, not only qualification. So for that matter, there are skills like you want to become a doctor. Even after you become an MBBS, you need to do MS, MD and all. So those are connected to your qualification. You cannot say that I am a very accomplished doctor without any qualification, because these are skills which are very high in terms of complexity. So yeah, but majority of the jobs which we deal with, this can be done without any qualification. That's the way I look at it.
Got it. So, Shivani, I wish to ask you in terms of real-time experience or any recent experience, if you can share with them of in terms of example, okay, where any of your client company or any of your reference company, they have successfully shifted in skill-based hiring, okay, as compared to in terms
Yeah,
of other education hiring. So, what actually worked well for them? Any recent example, if you can share with us?
absolutely. So there is this client of ours. It's a NBFC. It's in the finance sector, non-banking financial sector. And they were for a very long period of time hiring a CFO, and just that nobody clicked. And so then we thought that it is probably, and it was not a problem of sourcing. We were getting good candidates, but somehow, nothing was getting closed for various reasons. So we then decided let's do a deep diagnostic into their hiring process. And what we found out was that they were very stuck on the qualifications part, a certain batch part. That this is the batch. Iske niche, we will not take anybody, or iske upar will not take anybody. Very stuck on the the experience. Should have done this. Should have done this. So obviously now it's a very they're a very niche. They're into a very niche sector. So obviously it's very difficult to hire somebody who has the exactly similar kind of skills, and hence the position was open for a very long time. So when we did a deep diagnostic into their hiring process, we recommended to them to first of all do away. You can't, of course, it's a regulatory requirement also in some organizations, so you can't do away with the degree, but you can at least relax the other criteria, which was around
Right.
having the number of years of experience, having the kind of industry experience. So what we advised them was we created a BEI, which is a behavioral event interview, which is a very skill-based hiring, which basically is a combination of functional competencies, which is nothing but skills, and behavioral competencies. So for that role of a CFO, what are the functional competencies that I need in my organization, for this person to excel? And what are the technical so that was the functional capabilities, and what are the behavioral aspects that I'm looking at, which essentially covers the culture part. And it was, of course, a rubric which was which had a score. So there was no possibility of having any kind of a bias into that. So that was one. Secondly, we recommended to them that let's go one step ahead and let's create a skill-based assessment. So we came up with, because this was a senior level, this of course involved doing presentations to the board and managing global stakeholders. So we definitely wanted to see not just their number crunching ability, but their ability to present and manage multiple stakeholders. So we did a panel of very senior leaders, and we asked the candidates to make a presentation on a certain topic, which was researched and it was relevant to their industry. And again, that was we again had a rubric for that, wherein every panelist had a score to give to each of the candidates who made presentations. And there were certain criteria on the basis of which we would assess the person's suitability, not on their presentation skills, but on their overall suitability for what the role would demand, right? So that was the second thing, and the third was an assessment of course, because it's a finance position, so their assessment on the business acumen, which was around a problem-solving case study. So that is how we designed a full pack for them. And within 2 months, the position was closed and they onboarded a very good person, which I think before the hiring process that they had, they would have maybe just rejected. The ATS would have rejected because the person's qualifications or years of experience did not match. But when we brought about the skill-based assessment, it was so at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that skill-based assessments can help us to hire not just quality talent but also close positions very quickly. And the company today sees merit in that because it's a good hire. So using skill-based assessments also ensures that you don't make very grave hiring mistakes, because you've assessed them not because of you've not assessed them on the kind of college or the qualifications that they've come from or on the basis of their past experience, but you've actually assessed them for their suitability for the role that you are interviewing them or hiring them for. And that really reduces the number of errors in hiring. So that is one example that just comes to my mind. Apart from that, I think there are companies like IBM. We hear a lot about IBM, about Google, about TCS, who have done similar things where they've just done away with the a list of schools, B schools that they want to hire from. So there are enough examples.
I think what works in an IT industry like ICS, TCS, and IBM is also, suppose you have to create a billable resource, and the client has put a specification that you should have 4 years of graduation in technology. Then you have no choice but to hire BTech only, because you're going to place
Yeah.
them as a billable resource. And Shivani, thanks for reminding me. You guys are talking about today. Let me tell you, in 2000, 25 years back, I was interviewed for Australian High Commission, okay, for a project officer HR. And the advertisement which had come had written that these are the 6 points of job which you need to do. So job description of 6 points. And if you meet all these six, so write in response to these six job descriptions only. No biodata required. Job description number one, policy implementation. So you write what you have done. Job description number two, recruitment. So you write what you have done. So the application was in response to the job description which was given. Moment I reached there, I was asked to go for a test wherein all those job description related questions were there. Like, there was a overtime policy. So you read that and there is a case. 5 people have done these many hours. So you calculate their overtime by hand. Basically, they are checking whether you understand it or not. So like that, they took a written test, and in the interview, they again were asking the same thing. Of course, there my behavioral skills were also getting demonstrated, but they were so focused on what exactly is the competency required, what is the requirement of the job, and that's how right from the resume writing, I could not send my standard resume. I had to create an answer sheet like resume to apply, and if it was shortlisted, I went through 2 rounds. And mind you, there was no qualification written in that also. Okay. So it happened 25 years back also. I can recall now. Simani, thanks for bringing back that memory. But yeah, it happens when any organization which is more focused on what is the job, who is skilled to do this job will do, irrespective of the time and context. That is what anybody would do.
Great. So, Sandeep ji, going ahead, if I wish to know, like, we will be having a lot of other audience in our way, okay, and possibly few of them from HR teams only and HR domain. So, according to you, from your experience, okay, how can HR operation team can redesign entire screening and assessment process, okay, to prioritize skills over, credentials?
I think the ideal situation would be that define competency set for every role and design tools to check those competencies. It may not be so. I think of a situation where you are going to hire a person who is a school dropout and a real school dropout, not like a Bill Gates kind of real. I mean, a school dropout who could not afford, and he is just literate. He or she can write his name or her name, and you have to design a test. So it has to be language agnostic, it has to be culture agnostic, and it may be something like a pictorial test to check his or her basic IQ or basic intelligence. So starting from there to each role, what exactly like I think Namita was saying that what exactly is the hard skills, what are the soft skills, and accordingly you can design. There are gamifications also which have been introduced. There are online so many other things. And now you can also take the assistance of AI, but you cannot rely only on them. You need to use your intellect also. So I think that is what is the challenge, that who will do this job? Uh, because if there is a vendor, he will sell something which is off the shelf, which may not suit my requirement. And if
But
I need to do it, then I need to do it for my company as per my roles. Maybe it would be valid for the industry which I belong to, at least the hard skills. Then another set of industry will require another set. So I think different companies, different industries are at the different level of maturity. Work is going on. There are some companies who have reached to a higher level. There are some who have not yet. But yeah, we need, as an HR person, we cannot do it in isolation. We need to do it along with the hiring manager, the technical team. We need to create these assessment tools for hiring and also promoting somebody internally moving to a new role. So that is a huge work which we need to do.
yeah, lovely. So, if I was to continue the same question with Namita, okay, let's say you'll be having vast experience of working with multiple companies. Okay, so how can organization can support internal mobility? Okay, along with reskilling, so current employees without degrees don't get left behind. Like the same thing, Sandeep ji mentioned.
Yeah, so I think I'll completely echo what Sandeep said. So first, identifying and mapping the skills pertaining to the job profile that they are doing, it it can actually facilitate internal mobility at much faster rate because it's very clear to us this job requires this skill, and then accordingly reskilling and investing as an organization, investing more on upskilling and reskilling them so that they can be they can be promoted towards those higher roles. Once it's clear to us, we need this kind of competencies or capabilities at that role, and then skilling them towards that part. Also, I think having a very clear roadmap or a clear career growth path for each individual, where we know right now with the skills, but with enhancement of those skills, this person can come to that level. So once we have that kind of environment, ecosystem of training, development, upskilling, reskilling, I believe it's going to play a great role and can help people to shift from one role to another in an organization.
So, Shivani, I'm coming to you. Okay. uh, Being as a HR leader, okay, I just wanted to ask, what advice would you give to HR leaders, okay, who are just starting their, own skill first hiring journey, okay, maybe or they are
Mhm.
advising to their internal management or any top hierarchy. What are the advice you will just to give?
So I think a lot has been spoken about the kind of advices that have already been given, but there are some things that definitely come to my mind. The first thing is that we need to make the move away. We need to rewrite job descriptions, wherein because see, a lot of times what happens when you mandate. You put a mandate in the job description that you need a person with from a so and so tier institute and from a so and so number of years of experience and all of that, and you put that into an ATS, more than 50% of the people get rejected who may have the potential to actually, if you give them an opportunity, may have the potential to crack the interview. So, right, but what you're doing is right at the beginning, you're just, taking away, one, opportunity for them. Secondly, opportunity for the organization to get good talent also. So definitely that is something that needs to be looked into. Like I said, there are some positions for which you really can't. Some are regulatory norms for which you have to take people with a certain qualification. Those are exceptions. But I'm saying that let's not generalize that for every position that becomes open, we write, the preferred. So rather than writing, should be from an elite B school or from a tier 1 B school, let's say, we should be writing, the skills that the person should have in them to be able to do this job. Um, I talked about skill assessment, packs, and I would say that use multiple assessment methods. There is not just one. Like I gave the example of the company that we held out for. So we help them for hiring. So you don't need to rely on one test or one format. Mix it up. You can have case studies, you can have interviews, simulation, DEI, whatever it is, but spend time on designing that skill-based assessment because this helps in capturing different strengths. So, like they say, equity is not about giving everyone the same test. It's about giving everyone a fair shot to show their best. So that is one. Secondly, I think we need to make the assessments, like I said, very job relevant and contextual. So align the assessments which are directly on the job tasks. So for example, for a sales role, an aptitude test may not work as effectively as a demo sales pitch. That's where you do the right kind of assessment, that whether they'll be able to come and do a sales pitch rather than, having a very super high IQ. Um, of course, build in accessibility, something that Sandeep also mentioned. Ensure that platforms are, these assessments are simple, right? They don't have to have the complex corporate jargon. Make sure the platforms are mobile friendly. They're accessible to even low bandwidth, the people who have low bandwidth issues. Because see what happens, and I think one thing that I'd like to mention here is one bias that comes during hiring is also and when you're hiring from when you have a mandate of hiring from an elite B school or an elite like an IIT or an IIM or an Ivy League colleges, there's an inherent socioeconomic bias there. So it may be possible that somebody was not able to go to a good institute or did not have access to elite education because of their background. That does not mean that they do not have the capability to do well. So somebody spoke about Bill Gates. I think Sandeep spoke about Bill Gates. Now, Bill Gates would be totally unemployable in that era because nobody would call a dropout to a school dropout to, even for an interview. But that did not mean that he did not have the capability. What he built, was much bigger than any organization that could offer him a job also. So a very classic example that intellect and capability does not just come with the institute names and brands. So definitely that bias needs to be out. Blind evaluations have worked very well. Blind evaluations is when you anonymize the responses during the scoring. So this is what we did when I spoke about that position. We did not write the names of the candidates because the moment you write the name of the candidate, when you are assessing the candidate, there's a certain image that you build in your mind about them, and then you start somehow scoring them based on your perception of them, not probably on what they are truly presenting or putting across the table. So anonymous responses, then you're scoring no names of colleges, no photos, just purely basis the skills and the skill demonstration and the competencies demonstration. So that was something that really worked for us. And I think most importantly, so one is, we have skill-based assessments. All three of us have spoken about it, but it's also important that we train the evaluators, people who are going to do evaluation of these skill-based assessments for an unconscious bias. So we should train the assessors to focus on evidence, to focus on reality, to focus on the skills and not impressions. So, like we always recommend using rubrics. I've mentioned about this earlier because rubrics with a defined criteria always helps you to reduce subjectivity and subjective scoring. So, fairness in skills first hiring isn't just about removing degrees. Honestly, it's about removing the hidden filters that still favor probably privileged or the people who had access to good formal education. So inclusive assessments, I don't think lower the bar, they actually widen the gate.
I totally agree. Most of the things what you shared. So going ahead, I wish to ask Sandeep ji. Okay, how do you see like government policies or any other educational institutions actually supporting this particular shift? Like when we are talking about skill based hiring.
I think particularly in India, I mean, I'll talk about India, though when we are talking about putting the Ivy schools and all, that also depends which market you're operating. If you have high number of supply, then you use these tools to reject a lot of people because you want to do less work. So why will you look at thousands of CVs when you by putting a filter you can get 10 and out of that. But in a market where the supply is not high, all these entry barriers are removed. Okay. But let's talk about India. In India, what the government has done, what a very welcome step is in the new education policy, they have started skilling students from the school only. It has become a mandate now that you need to have pick up some of the skills. Unfortunately, what is happening in that, so every school has to adopt. I'll give you an example. Suppose you go to DPS Noida, okay, or you go to say another not so high profile school. If you go to the DPS Noida students, the options given to them in terms of skilling is stock trading, photography, all elite class skills, right? And in a government school, you are giving them carpentry, plumbing, because you are looking at the social background that this guy will not anyhow will not learn this. Where will he have the money to do trading? So government has defined so many skills which you need to do right from class 10 or 11 you have to pick up or class 8. So you start doing it and you need to have at least one skill. So even if you are not educated, you will create your livelihood out of that skill, either as an employee or as a self-employed entrepreneur. So that is a very good thing, which is putting at the foundation of education system. And what they are trying to do, unfortunately, if you look at it, our Ministry of HRD, which is taking care of education, and Ministry of Skill Development, they were going in two different directions. For some people are getting PhD, but they don't know how to write one page, right? And people are skilled, but they don't have any qualification. So gradually this is merging. So in the education system, you are trying to put the skills. So that is a very good step. And now credits are coming from what kind of skill you have acquired. So like you get into say fine art. Everybody in the class is doing fine art. But the differentiator would be how good you are. Because these are skill-based job, I mean professions where if you are good, you'll command more money, more value. If you are not good, nobody is going to pay attention to it. You are also there in that class, but maybe you can become a trader of fine art, not a fine art artist, right? So that can be another skill. So I think government has done a very good job. Then if you look at our country, close to around 21 crore people are dropping out of the school after sixth or eighth or ninth. And that is the population which is called uneducated. So to counter to that, what they have done is they have started skill programs. And these skills, based on your intensity of learning, based on your interest, based on your overall orientation, you can command a higher value. I'll give you a very simple example. I chair the board of Home Management and Caregiver Sector Skill Council. So in that segment, what I see that care economy is going to be a big time industry in the world and in India as well. By the year 2050, we would have close to around 70 crore, 70 crore elderly people in our country who will require caregivers. And these caregivers would be giving care, not only physical care, emotional care, social care, all types of care. So you require a person with higher level of emotional intelligence. You require a person with higher level of service attitude. So these are the things which can be taught in a classroom, but you need to develop it over a period of time. So that's why I'm saying assessing yourself whether I'm fit for this kind of role starts from there, then learning it in the school, gradually becoming an expert in that will make you very valuable in the market. You can command a salary of, so caregiver normally if I ask you how much you will pay, you'll say 10-15 हजार रुपए. But these caregivers will ask for 1 lakh rupees, 2 lakhs rupees, and there are people who will pay this. Parents are staying in India and children are in US. So they need somebody who can take very good care of their parents in India, will be ready to pay this money, right? So there would be a lot of roles which will be non-technical but highly demanding and highly skilled, in the sense not only the technical skills, emotional skills, social skills. So those are the skills which we need to develop, and government is doing very well. They are putting the right building blocks, preparing for Viksit Bharat 2047, and we are in the right direction. I think commendable job, but industry needs to partner, spell out what exactly you need. There would be new industries which will come out, and that's how we'll grow. And I
Great.
think I have long answer, but possibly I've answered your questions.
Great. So one of the new segment in industry I learned from you, I believe Shivani, we have to also enter this industry. Okay, they'll be having a huge potential. This is something great, lovely. So for now, something I'll be having little lighter things. Okay, I can say a quick, rapid fire questions for each of you. Okay. So firstly, Sandeep ji, I wish to know from your side, what's bigger barrier to change, like corporate culture or outdated policy?
Uh, Outdated policy first, and then corporate culture in the same order.
Okay, thank you. Secondly, I'll be having a question for Shivani. Okay, one word prediction you have to do for future of hiring.
Skill based.
Got it, got it. Lastly, Namita, I'll be having for you certificates, necessary validation or just another file.
I think necessary for validation.
Got it. Okay. So thank you so much, all of you, for your honest and thoughtful practice insights. Okay, it's clear that moving to a skill-first hiring model in not just being about doing policies. It's about rethinking mindset, redesigning processes, and investing in people in new ways. Okay. On that note, I'd like to thank Namita, Sandeep, and Shivani once again for joining us and sharing their expertise. And of course, thank you to everyone in the audience for being here today. And I'll now hand it back to Faizan to take his form. Thank you so
I
much,
think
everyone.
Rajat, Saranya has a question. Saranya
Yeah,
Ramaswamy has a question,
yeah, please, please.
which I think the upper part is already answered by Shivani. She is asking, as a recruiter, what are the basic behaviors and skills that are most important for an employee? Basic skills, behaviors, and body language, etc. So we have talked about it. You need to train yourself to be an assessor, to know how to administer a tool, things like that. And the second part of this is, as an employee, how to interact with the recruiter and attend the interview. Lots of gyan on the internet, you can go through it, but one my simple bit is, you be as original as you can be. Don't
Yeah.
try to fake it, otherwise the recruiters are very smart, because anyhow you have put lots of technology to reach there. You have been screened through AI and all, but you be as original as, like, I'll give you a very simple example. When I ask a person, why have you chosen this career, they start giving very different, very cloudy kind of answers. I expect a very honest answer. An honest answer can be, because this was the first which I got. Is a very honest answer, rather than saying that I was from the very childhood I was built like this. My it is there in my gene and all. All that is bluff. So be very original. That is what should be the. I think she has raised. Saranya, you've raised your hand also. So if you've got your answer, it's good. If you're not, maybe if you're allowed, you can speak.
I have one more point to add there.
Mm.
Totally agree. It should be definitely, you have to be authentic. You have to be yourself. That's very true. And I think one more thing that I'd like to advise people is that when you go for an interview, when you go, you're making the effort to go to the interview. Not everybody gets a call for the interview. Value it. So please read about the organization, read about the job that you're going for. It is very, very, irritating for a recruiter to meet a candidate who's come for an interview, made the effort to come to, you made the effort to take out that time. The recruiters also taken out the time. So it's extremely important that before you go for an interview, do read up about the company. Do have, and if you have any questions in mind, just don't ask questions for the sake of asking questions, but do ask relevant questions. Read the job description thoroughly before you, because a lot of times when I ask people, do you have any questions for me? They'll say, can you please explain the role to me? So then I ask them that is already there in the JD. So you didn't read the JD. So like I said, don't ask questions for the sake of asking questions. Ask relevant questions. Ask questions about the business, how the how the business is planning to grow, and how does your career growth looks like in that organization. So that is one very key thing which differentiates. It tells me as a recruiter that you're serious about your career, you're serious about applying to our organization, and you're curious to know how there can be a match between your career and our organization's expectations. So just wanted to add that bit.
Yeah. So any other question if anyone is having?
Thank you. Thank you, Rajat.
Yeah.
Your thoughtful guidance, seamless flow of conversation, and engaging questions played a vital role in making the discussion insightful and impactful for everyone involved. Thank you to all our esteemed speakers for sharing such insightful perspectives on the evolving landscape of talent acquisition. Your thoughts on embracing a skill first approach have truly added depth and direction to today's discussion. For those eager to revisit today's insights, the session recording is available on our YouTube link shared in the chat window. A special thanks to our event partners, Geisha, NASCOM COE, Talgro, TLE, WICCI, LinkedIn Local, Ahmedabad, and India for their invaluable support in making this event a success. To learn more about these associations, please refer to the links provided in the chat. We look forward to welcoming you to our next session on the topic the intersection of AI and human empathy, balancing automation with the human touch in HR on July 24th, 2025. With that, we conclude today's webinar. Thank you for being part of this journey. Wishing you good health, positivity, and success until we meet again. Take care and farewell for now. Thank you, Rajat. Thank you, Namita.
Thanks,
Thank
Faisal.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
You
you,
so much.
Faisal, and thank you, everybody else. Thank you, HRAI. This was a very relevant topic. And thank you for coming up with you guys keep on coming up with topics that are unusual and not the usual run of the mill. So compliments to your team.
Thank you.